Welcome to Red Factor TV. I, as always, am your host, Sean Chappell. This week, I thought I'd take a moment and drill down on my journey through the small business grant I just completed. That being the Start a Company Plus program administered by the Waterloo Region Small Business Center. This past week, I completed the pitch portion of the program, that being me standing in a room full of strangers trying to convince them that my business was worth supporting, not unlike the Dragon's Den. It was unnerving and a little disruptive after the fact, but I'll get to that momentarily. All told, the Company Starter Plus program has been a huge boon for me. It got me thinking all about the business, the marketing of it, the finances of it, the exploration into my customer base, and more very early on in the process of building Red Fracture. Although I found the workload quite challenging at a time when I was retooling my website, etc., I think the insights that I've gained from the program are going to be invaluable in the long run. Not only that, but the contacts that I've generated are going to be invaluable too. I'm really coming around to the idea that it's not what you know, it's who you know. Case in point, I am now working intimately on a storefront project called The Local at the Waterloo Town Square. I got in the loop through my Shopify contact, Maddie. She organizes tons of the Shopify events I attend. I attend them all. I see her all the time. She rocks too. She's really awesome. She put me in contact with Cheyenne, who is leading the charge on the project. Then, 2 days later, at a mentor session for the grant program, Krista, a Shopify partner who is also in the grant program, talked about The Local in front of Gordana, a graphic designer. The next day, all three of us were in a room with three other local entrepreneurs at Shopify having our first logistics meeting about The Local. The proof speaks for itself. Or, as Chrétien would say, when you prove that you have proof to prove a proof, then the proven proof is proven, or something like that. I just dated myself. Chances are, unless you've got a product that is utterly life-changing for a huge percentage of the population, it's going to take people learning about your product, testing your product, using your product, and then recommending your product to others before it takes off. Having people in your corner to say, hey, I know a guy who can do X, who makes X, who has idea X, let me put you in contact with him, makes the process go a whole lot faster. Word of mouth is huge. Every marketing specialist I've met through the grant program has said basically the same thing. Get people talking about your product and you don't have to pay for marketing. Satisfied customers will do all the work for you. This is ultimately something that I've not been able to take advantage of because working directly with customers hasn't been on the Red Fracture books in some time. Losing 70 hours a week of your time to building someone else's dream can really stall out your momentum in that regard. But you'll be happy to know that I'll be opening up commissions very soon. March, in fact. I need to start satisfying the needs of clients directly through one-on-one interactions. And at this point, I'm assuming that's going to be accomplished through one-of-a-kind original artwork commissions. But there's opportunity to expand into commissions for projects such as book covers, concept art, or even artistic consultations on a project or two. I'm open. I have to be. I need people to be happy with what I do and then start spreading the word. It is invaluable, and I finally have the time to make it work. Although my ultimate goal is to build Red Fracture into an e-commerce concern designed to free my time to explore other ideas, a certain amount of my time may always need to be committed to satisfying the needs of individual clients. Such is the life of an artist. The pitch was something else entirely. After spending almost 100 hours putting together a business plan, I had to put together a live pitch. 11 slides covering 11 topics from the business plan accompanied by a 3-minute long speech. Sounds pretty easy, right? Well, the slide presentation was easy enough. After all the stuff that I've learned at Shopify, I understood branding and made the presentation analogous to my website, etc. I wanted it to tie into my overall red fracture aesthetic, and it did. Great. Then the pitch had to match what was in those slides, and it did. And during a pitch prep session, Rob Clement from the Small Business Center asked me to adjust only a couple of small things in my slides and my pitch. Everything seemed good. I then spent the next 4 days practicing my pitch. I used a technique recommended to me by an old university prof who said to stomp up and down while trying to memorize things. Apparently it makes things stick better, and it worked. I practiced on the exercise bike while lifting weights and while vacuuming the house. It all worked very well. And on the night before the pitch, I took an hour and a half to time myself to 3 minutes or less. I nearly talked myself hoarse doing it. I thought I had it nailed. Then came pitch day. Of course, I was nervous. I had a chance to decompress with a couple of other applicants previous to my pitch, but then the real shit hit the fan when I walked into the room and didn't know a single person on the grant review committee panel. I was faced by 4 complete strangers, all very business oriented, all very intimidating, and all seemingly more in the know about my business than me. I'd been chanting the mantra, I have all the power, I know my business better than they do. But in that moment, that mantra pretty much deflated. I got through the pitch pretty well. A few stumbles due to nerves, but I had a cheat sheet with me to keep me on track. I think it was pretty well received. What really threw me for a loop was the Q&A afterward. And it wasn't even the nature of the questions. They were all pretty straightforward, such as, you planned to make X in year 1 and Y in year 2. Can you explain why? Do you have any other marketing plans outside of what's in your business plan? You said you need the $5,000 for process exploration. What exactly is it that you're looking to explore? Ultimately, I floundered on how to answer these questions, not because they weren't answerable, not because my business plan was flaky, but because, being on the spot, I couldn't or didn't put my responses into succinct and well-defined, knowledgeable answers. I floundered to find the best way to present what I was trying to say. And when I walked out of the pitch, the one word that was running around in my mind was fuck. I'd expected to knock it out of the park, and ultimately, it was a pop fly at best. I'm at a point now where I'm hoping that the weighting of the decision lays more on the 100 hours I put into developing the business plan and not on my 10 minutes of on-the-spot oration with 4 complete strangers, regardless of their business prowess and expertise. We will see very shortly. Do away with expectations. I'm not ashamed to say that the fuck that was going around in my head after I presented my pitch got bigger and bigger and bigger as the day wore on. The beast of self-doubt kicked down the door to my brain, settled in, and started to grow. Ultimately, I had a total meltdown. I was very angry at myself. And there really wasn't any reason for it. Did I knock my pitch out of the park? Not in my opinion. Did it really matter what I thought, though? Not one bit. The decision didn't lie with me at all. It was in the hands of the Grant Review Committee and the Small Business Center. For all I knew, they loved it. I had done my job, but I wasn't satisfied with it. I had expected to do better. Expectations are a pain in the ass. We expect a big return on an investment. We expect support for our project or product. We expect to make X number of dollars. We expect to be at a certain point in our business by a certain date. We expect. And the real problem with them is they're usually grossly inaccurate, based on little or no data, and wildly speculative. They become these unrealistic idealisms that we walk around with in our heads, and they set us up for disappointment again and again. To help avoid some of the pitfalls of expectations, we do things like write business plans. The business plan that I just wrote is a roadmap for the next 6 months of my entrepreneurial journey. Inside of it are certain facts and figures that are going to help guide me. That has set up a few expectations for me, but they are calculated expectations at this point, ones based on facts and research. And even these are still somewhat speculative. Life is not linear. Life will not adhere to my business plan. I'm going to have to be able to roll with the punches as they come and be ready to pivot as my business landscape changes. I had expected to do better on my business pitch, and it turned on me pretty quickly. What I should have done was realize that I have never done a pitch of this nature to a room full of strangers, never been questioned about my business, never been put on the spot that way, and that whatever happened, happened, and not to be too critical about my performance or the outcome. My expectation should have been no expectation. The process was completely new to me, and I needed this to be more of a fact-finding mission over something I thought I could ace. Lesson learned. Do away with expectations. They're not your friends, your pals, or your buddies, and they're bad for your mental health. They will not help you. For now, that is all. Thanks for watching.